Today is Saturday, May 23rd, 2015, and this is the Bunny Slippers of Evil Job Seekers Call-In Show, presented by Evil Bunny Consulting. I'm your host, Tyrone Griffin, and if it's 3 p.m. you have on your bunny slippers, you are not looking for a job. Welcome first-time and returning listeners. In this show, we discuss strategies and tactics of job search, staying motivated and dealing with career transition. For more tips, resources, daily motivations, and to listen to archive shows, go to the website bunnyslippersrevil.com. There you'll also find links to our Facebook page, our Twitter handle, and our YouTube channel. If you are listening live, you can call in with your questions at 347-202-0929. Again, that number is 347-202-0929. But first, a word from our sponsors. Evil Bunny Consulting is the alternative to expensive outplacement. They give company-sponsored job seeker workshops as well as the one-on-one job seeker boot camp. For more information, go to www.bunnyslippersofevil.com. Resume Edit is a low-cost, high-quality resume writing company with resumes as low as $35 written by certified resume writers. You can find them online at www.resume4edit.com or call 404-860-2473. Again, that number is 404-860-2473. Be sure to tell them you heard about them on the Bunny Slippers of Evil Job Seekers podcast. Let 3dresumes.net turn your resume into a web page with a customized domain for 12 months for only $30. Help hiring managers and recruiters find you, make your resume available 24/7, and get a professional personalized email address just for your job search. You can see my online resume at tyronegriffin.com. And for more information on how to get your own, go to 3dresumes.net. If you are thinking or about to look for a job in today's world, you will find a new reality in the job search process. The world has changed. Job search today is much more complicated than 5 years ago. Volumes of resumes, more applicant screening systems, depersonalized applications, panel interviews, team hiring, long complicated applications, branding and social media. Yes, the world has changed. But have you? Are you still trying yesterday's approach? Why struggle and miss out on today's opportunities? Career Oyster is here to help. Great coaches, the latest resources, unique strategies personally tailored to your job search. Find out the new reality and how you can prevent costly mistakes. To register for a free 45-minute private session with head coach Howard Caddy, go to careeroyster.com. Find out the facts now. You'll be glad you did. Remember their motto. The world is your oyster. Be the pearl. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another podcast this week. I apologize. It seems like I have everything laid out perfectly until 4 seconds before I go live, and then everything falls apart. So anyway, I thank you all again. I hope you had a very good week. I heard your job search, if you're still looking, that it's been going well, that you're getting the activity that you're hoping to get, and that you keep moving forward into bigger and better things. This week, we are doing a show on the resume. We've talked about it a few times in the past, but this time I'm just going to break it down and try to explain what my perception of each part of the resume is. First thing about resumes, there is no right and wrong way to do a resume. I'm using my resume as an example for this show, but that does not mean by any stretch that this is the only way a resume should be done. Every resume is different. Every job search is different. You have to find what fits and what works for you. That's all I'm going to say. I may do things differently than you do. I may think about things differently than you do. Don't ever forget that everybody, resumes are like heads. Everybody's got one. But I'm going to use mine. And as I said in the beginning of the show, my resume is online at tyronegriffin.com. You can see it, download it, live it, love it, laugh it, whatever you want to do with it. But again, there is no right or wrong way to do a resume. Worst case, you could write a resume in crayon. If the rest of your job search is stellar, might be kind of weird, but in the right situation, that might work. But my point is this: there are lots of experts, and I've heard a lot of experts talk about how resumes should be done, what you should be doing with your resume. And I'll be totally honest, they have disagreed. And that was when I was in job search the first time, back in 2010, that was the thing that struck me, was that the experts just didn't agree. How many pages should your resume be? 1 page, 2 page, 10 page? Should you have references on your resume? Should you not have references on your resume? There was no consistency with what should be done. So I just came to the conclusion, okay, every job search is different. Every resume for every person is going to be personal. Now, you got to understand, for me also, the way I approached my resume was I looked at the whole job search. And as I've said on here many times, I look at job search like dating. Because you're trying to find that one true love, that one true job. Of all those jobs out there, you're trying to be found by that one person who is going to do everything and make your toes wiggle and make you grow hair and all that good stuff. But it's like dating. And overall, if you look at your resume, in my opinion, as a document you would give somebody you are trying to date, I think it changes the emphasis in your resume. Old school resumes, at least, when I came out, 20 years ago, resumes were primarily just what we call the chronological. It was just a list of the places you worked and what maybe different bullets about, what you've done in those different places. Some of you guys are old enough like me to remember when your resume, your cover letter, your envelope, and your business card had to all be on the same type of paper. And that was the big search, to make sure you got all that on the same type of paper. Now nothing's printed, so it doesn't matter. But you look at your overall job search. It depends on how you look at it. If you look at it as you look at how your resume fits into your job search, and we'll get to it in a little bit. But if you think about it from a dating standpoint, and you're trying to get somebody's attention, you think about a chronological listing of all the people you dated is not necessarily, in my opinion, the best way to get their attention. I'm just saying, guys, you go to a woman, say maybe somebody you go to school with or whatever, somebody you know from church or whatever, and the first thing you show them is a list of all the other women you've dated. I don't know if that's gonna fly. It may, it may, but I don't think so. So if you think of your job search like that, the first thing you show a potential employer, when we're talking about the old school, the chronological resume, you show them all the places you've worked, and maybe they'll think that the reputation of those places would mean that you're a good person. It's like the dating scenario. You show somebody the people you've dated, and maybe they'll say, oh, well, he's dated this one, and this one, and I know they're good people, so he must be a good person. No, it doesn't work like that. Well, anyway, we'll get down to that. So first of all, as I mentioned, there's two types of resumes. There's the functional and the chronological. The chronological is basically a listing of the jobs that you've held, where you've worked. That's all. Chronologically, here's where I've worked. Here's a bullet or two about each job. Here's the years I worked, the time period of those jobs, how long I dated the person. The bullets are, to put it delicately, what all we did. Yeah, you see how this kind of starts a little ridiculous to put all your energy on that part of the resume. So that's the chronological, just a listing of the jobs. Functional is what's come into vogue, as they say, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I guess. I know, when I started looking back, again, 5 years ago now, people were using this the functional, which is basically kind of a way of just talking about what you do. I consider, and then at the very end, a listing of companies. that you work for with no bullets. My current resume is what I call a hybrid. It's it's 2 pages, and you can see it's online. It's 2 pages. First page is a lot of well, I'll just say the second page because we're going to get into the first page in a minute. The second page is just the chronological listing of the companies I worked for. There's no companies listed pretty much on the first page. Okay, it's all on the second page because for me, I feel it's less important where I did things and more important what I did. That's just my personal perspective on it. So you can do your own thing. Um, so so let's start at the top. Let's start at the top. The top of your resume, first thing you'll have up there, obviously, is your name and contact information. Now, you may have, on the top of mine, I have my name, email address, a phone number, the market I'm looking at, and my LinkedIn profile. You pick whatever you want to put in there. My suggestion, one of my suggestions, I actually have notes this week, by the way, so it should be a little more coherent. The top of it is your who you are, your contact info, and your location. I My personal feeling about putting your address is don't do it. Ladies especially, I would never put my home address on a resume or on a business card. And the reason being because resumes get passed around and you don't know who's going to be getting your resume. And having your home address on it, just there are creepy people out there, even in job search, I'm sorry to say. But having your home address, particularly now that Google has Google Street View, and somebody can know where you live and they can zoom in at your house, and worst case they can look and see those bushes next to the door and nice hiding place, and they can get you. I don't mean to make light of that, but that's a serious situation. So I would never put me neither. I would never put my home address. One reason is because again, Google Street View, people can look and know where you live. And it's really none of their business. Second, and this happened to me. This year, this happened to me, where I interviewed for a position. They liked me. They liked my work. They liked the interview process went well. And I heard from the recruiter that their concern was that the length of the drive I had to take. And, after a year, would I start looking for a job that's closer to home and leave them? So I didn't get an offer. And I think primarily that was the reason, because they felt it was too far a drive for me. Well, with all due respect, it's my drive. I don't want I don't want anyone deciding what's too far for me. Right now, my commute can take an hour and a half to an hour 45 minutes each way. I've been doing that anybody knows Atlanta, knows Atlanta traffic. An hour and a half is probably 4 miles. But I've been doing that commute now for 10 years, different parts of the city. I'm fine doing it. I don't want a hiring manager potentially making the decision to not extend me an offer because he or she feels it would be too far a drive for me. If I'm willing to make the drive, let me worry about it. So that's the second reason I don't put my home address on my resume. I don't even put my county or city. I put Atlanta, and I'll explain by that in a second. The third reason that I don't want put my home address there, because I'm not looking for a job in my home. I'm looking for a job in my situation. My jobs are in Atlanta. So I put Atlanta on my resume. Reason being, if somebody does a Google search for resumes by zip code, or it's same thing with my LinkedIn profile. My LinkedIn zip code is Atlanta. I live in Northwest Georgia in a small community. But if you are a recruiter or headhunter and you're looking for somebody, and you say you're in Chicago and you're looking for somebody, you're trying to fill a position in Atlanta, you're not going to put in the zip code from my little town out here. You're going to put in the zip code for Atlanta and see what comes up. I want to come up in that search. So therefore, I put Atlanta on my resume. So on the top of the resume, the first couple of things, you should have your name, and so they know what to call you. Phone number, preferably a cell phone. I think they used to tell people always put a home phone, but if you're not home all the time, put your cell phone so they can always reach you. But make sure if you do that, that your voicemail is not your kids singing the Barney song. Okay, make sure your voicemail is professional. Okay, but so I have that, my phone number, my email address, my LinkedIn profile, and Atlanta. That's what's on my resume. And now those are the reasons why that I put specifically those things on my resume. The next thing is, again, everything on here is optional, other than probably your name and contact information. But otherwise, everything else is optional. The next part of the resume is we call the business objectives or summary. There's all kinds of different names I've seen. Overview. There's several different things they call it. And that's basically, again, first of all, it is optional. And second of all, it's kind of, it gives somebody a summary of what you're looking for, or you try to give them a summary of who you are. Again, your resume is all about summarizing a 10 or 20 or 30-year career. I'll give you my summary says finance and operations manager specializing in corporate strategy and data analysis, known for driving data and trend analysis that results in streamlined processes, cost saving, performance optimization, and improvements in strategic planning. Highly skilled in strategic planning, creative problem solving, and understanding complex situations. That's my summary of who I am. You can put something different. You can put seeking an opportunity. I mean, you can't. I wouldn't do that. But that's just me. You can put anything you want in that summary section. That summary just kind of summarizes you a little bit more. That's all it's there for. Excuse me. I might have to be getting allergies. That sucks. Okay. For me, the next section is what I call the core competencies. And I got 4 of those listed. And those are just what they sound like, my core competencies. So if you look at this as a dating resume, if you will, the summaries is, hey, I'm a nice guy. I like long walks in the park and listening to what's the Yanni or whatever, The next thing, my core competencies would be, I like to cook, I like to clean, I like to read, all the things that I think would be attractive to a person I am trying to make time with. Yeah, make time with. We'll work with that one. But your core competencies are, what do you think are important to employers? One thing we didn't touch on this time, and I've touched on it before, was should you have a separate resume for every job you apply for? Again, personal preference. Me, I tried it for about 10 minutes one time, and I got so lost on who was getting what. And I said, well, and then, I heard I think it was Eric Handler said it on a Friday morning job networking. Said, if your background doesn't change, why should your resume? So why should I come up with 3 or 4 different ways to say the exact same thing? So those are the core competencies. Is what are those things, 3 or 4, 5 bullets of things that you feel would be attractive to potential employers. The next portion is called professional achievements. Now, again, I've done all this. I haven't mentioned any companies because to me, the companies are not that important. Where I worked is not as important as what I've done and what I can do. When you're trying to date somebody, it's less important what you've done, and more important, what you can do for that person. That's what you're trying to do, is make the point that I can do these things for somebody. So we got down to professional achievements. Now, in the interest of completeness and keeping everything synced together, your professional achievements, if you look at my resume, my 4 professional achievements match my 4 core competencies. What I did was I took my core competencies and I broke them out into 4 different headings. And then I have bullets from the rest of my resume that, the second page where it goes into all the places I've worked. I have several bullets under each job. And each of those bullets needs to support one of my core competencies. You don't just randomly put bullets out that don't support what it is that you are trying to achieve. So all of my bullets support my core competencies. Now, my bullets, I arrange them to, in my case, the financial management, operation strategy, data analytics, stuck on that word all the time, and technical expertise. And then again, all my bullets are from my resume, are from my the second page. If you look at this from a dating standpoint, these professional achievements are, I never miss birthdays. I give flowers on Valentine's Day. I've cooked, meals for, my person I was dating, say, and their family. These are the kinds of things I like to cook. Those would be your core competencies. I like to clean up. I don't leave my socks and underwear in the middle of the floor. Those are your core competencies if you're dating. These are your core competencies, but they serve the same purpose they would if you were job search. So your core competencies are those things that are attractive to potential hiring managers, and then you fill them in with the bullets from your resume, from your chronological list. Now, you make sure that because I actually did write notes. Let me go back to core competencies. The notes I put on that is, what are you good at? What do you want to be known for? Because let's be honest, you're not really known for anything to these people. They knew you, they wouldn't have to go through this. And what can you justify? Remember, this is your opportunity to reinvent yourself as a job seeker, as an employee. You can reinvent yourself. Thank God right now I'm doing very well in my situation, my job. But it was not always the case. In other jobs I've had in the recent past, wasn't doing that well. But you get a chance to reinvent yourself, particularly in job search. Nobody has to know the bad things that have happened to you unless you choose to share them. Okay, but this is your opportunity to reinvent yourself. So then we talked about professional achievements. It's further summary, but with more detail. So remember, you got that summary up top that says, here's me, in 4 sentences or less. And then a little bit more, here's supporting that summary. Here are my core competencies that support that summary. And then boom, my professional achievements support my core competencies. My professional achievements take those 4 core competencies and break them out and give you a bigger list. So I went from, if you look at, I'm using my resume as an example. This is my actual resume. My core competencies take up 2 lines. My professional achievements take up the rest of the page, about 3/4 to 4/5 of the page. They just do. But they're saying the same things. They're just giving you more detail about those things. And lastly, or not lastly actually, but my page 2 is where I have my work history. That's where I really point out where I've worked and what I've done. And if you'll notice, the bullets from there that I was able to pull from the different jobs there went right on the front page under my core competencies, or under my professional achievements, I'm sorry. So everything is giving you a little more information on me. If you only want to know my name and summary, that's on the first page at the top. Oh, well, what is he, what are his core competencies? Here they are. Oh, those are interesting. Let me read a little bit more about that. Oh, boom, look, all these bullets for each core competency. Wow, that's pretty cool. I wonder where he's worked. Boom, second page. Here's the companies I've worked at. So that's how I built my resume. That's how I built it. That was the implication. That was the methodology behind it. The last section is resources. Oh, and I also have, I think I have professional achievements on it, or I took that off. I ran out of space. I used to have professional achievements. I had different awards and nominations I'd gotten over the years. Had that on there. But you can put that on there if you want. If it's relevant to what your job search is. Worst example I can come up with off the top of my head is you're applying for a job as a structured reinsurance financial analyst, but you won Miss Best in Show at a 2012 wet t-shirt contest in Malibu. You probably don't want to put that as an achievement. It's all about education and things that pertain directly to your job search. Now, yeah, I have my education down. I have the two schools I went to for my undergrad degree and my graduate degree. Put those down there, because a lot of times now, and I know people who are in this situation, there will be jobs that you have to have a degree to apply for. If you don't have that degree, they don't want to talk to you. So put your degree right there, right in the open. Boom. Here's my my 2 degrees. Now, as far as references, I have no references on my resume. I don't feel it's necessary for me to put people's names and addresses or names and phone numbers on my resume. And every time I send my resume in, whether I get a call back or not, somebody else has these people's name and address or name and contact information. If you make it past the second round or first round in some situations, they will ask you for your references. You give them then. But me personally, I just don't put them on. I just choose not to put any references on there. So going from the top, we got about 2 minutes left. Going from the top, your header is who you are, the contact information for you, and your location. We don't try not to put where you live because it's none of nobody's business. And if they want to contact you, they can contact you by phone. The business objective in the summary is very optional. Again, is what you're looking for. It's a way to structure, in my opinion, to structure the job request for a company for the job that you're looking for. The third thing was the business objective and summary. Oh, I'm sorry, I did that. The core competencies. What are you good at? What do you want to be known for? And what can you justify? What are you good at? What are the 3 or 4 things that you do exceptionally well? Professional achievements. That's your chronological list of the jobs you've undertaken, with bullets for each one. Now, granted, for me, the bullets get smaller and fewer as we go back in time, because I just can't remember everything that I did for all these companies, all the different jobs I had and who my boss was and what the bullets were. Yes, I had those things, 10, 15, 20 years ago, but I just don't recall them now. And I don't think they're that important. Any job I did 20 years ago is probably not important to what I'm doing now. So, and then that's your work history. Then your contacts, I would suggest you leave them off. There's no reason for somebody to know all your contacts before they've offered you a job. Okay, so that's what I consider the resume deconstructed. Remember, people, job search is like dating. I will say this over and over. It's very much like dating. Your resume is your application to get into the mix for dating. I wouldn't dwell on the past too much. I would just, I wouldn't dwell. But make sure you have it there and make sure you have the dates there, because they will have to call. If you get an offer, they'll have to call and verify that you worked these places and these dates and times. So, so that's it. Guys, I tell you, it's not fun. Thanks for listening. If you are listening on the website, feel free to subscribe in iTunes. And if you like the show, please leave feedback so it'll help others find the show. If you have a suggestion for a topic you would like me to cover in either podcast or a 1 Minute Bunny Tip, please send it to me at Tyrone@bunnyslippersarevil.com. When you land, please don't forget us. Please support this show by visiting our cafe press store and buying a t-shirt, a water bottle, a coffee mug, a clock, or a sweatshirt. It'll support us. It'll help me keep this thing going. I don't make a mint off it, but it will also give you something to remember. So with that, thank you. Have a great day, and I will get back to you next week. Take care, and bye-bye.